Hello everyone. My name is Betsy White, and on behalf of Tim, I welcome you and thank you all for coming up here to this perfect spot that he and Jess have created. I feel very privileged to have been asked to conduct this celebration and to lead the sharing of many family, friends and thoughts and memories of Jess. Welcome also to the many friends watching today's celebration via our live streaming. Before we begin in earnest, there are a few little housekeeping things I must mention. Please ensure that all your phones are turned off or on silent. The toilets, the ladies' toilet is inside the house, and the gents, there's a portaloo over on the other side of the driveway for you. While this ceremony is happening, the caterer will be setting up at the front of the house, ready to serve refreshments afterwards. So you just move from here around to there. This memorial celebration service, prepared by Tim, is a truly fitting tribute to Jess. It will be full of memories, loving words from her loved ones and friends, and special music from CJ. I must also mention Jeff, our piper here today, and the beautiful but haunting introduction we have just heard. Jess was proud of her Scottish heritage, so it was a very fitting beginning to today's little ceremony. You may have noticed Jess's memorial table here at the front. Tim has also prepared a big photo wall inside. Please make sure that during the day you step inside to take a look at a wall full of photos of Jess and her life. There is also a basket, or 3 baskets, of fresh flowers from Jess and Tim's garden out the front here. We ask that if you come up to speak, please just grab a flower and place it on the table for on her memory table. But at the conclusion of the service, there'll be time for those of you who didn't speak during the service to say a few silent words as you place a flower on her table. Of course, if you come up to speak and you forget your flower, you're not going to be in trouble. Let's all be really truthful though for a moment. No one really wants to be here doing this, and in a perfect world, this would not happen. But we all know that our world is not perfect, and lots of times horrible things happen, and sometimes it happens to those close who mean the most to us. Jess tried so hard to fight this last sudden and unexpected cancer diagnosis given to her just after she had beaten her breast cancer. Unfortunately, it was not to be, and her terrible loss has stunned and grieved everyone. But Tim and his and Jess's family don't want us to dwell on the sadness or the years they won't have with Jess. Instead, they want us to remember their beautiful, tall, always smiling, very social, competent, caring and loving Jess, and to rejoice with them for having Jess in their lives. They want you to celebrate her life with them and give an insight into the years they spent together, especially her time as a partner, a wife and a mother. And I think now seems like the perfect time to hear from Tim. Please, you remember.
Before I start, I would like to take a moment to thank a few people. Firstly, my parents, who spent what feels like more time with us over here in the last year than at their own home in New Zealand. Jess and I often reflected on how we would never have gotten through this last year without their tireless and unquestionable support. to Jan, who helped us for the first 3 months of Ewan's life, and again during Jess's treatment. To Jess's mum's group, my sister Jessie, Helen, Sarah, Natasha, Annalise and Tegan, the Fab Five, our Sandy Beach friends, our wonderful neighbours, and our colleagues who have supported us continuously throughout this rollercoaster year that has just been. And to all the people who sent such lovely messages of support after I had to break their hearts with such devastating news. Thank you. My girl. Jess and I met at university. Before I knew it, she had a boyfriend, but she was trying to find me a girlfriend. I remember her messaging me one night, asking if I liked one of her friends. I replied, "No, I already like somebody else." When she asked who, I replied in my usual joking way, "You stupid." So I didn't get my girl, and after uni, we went our separate ways, but we always stayed in contact. 5 years later, I moved to London where Jess was living. She met me at the airport, and I still remember the smile on her face as she greeted me in the arrivals hall. It didn't take long from that moment for our friendship to turn into something more. We went on a short holiday to Malta. As we explored the island, we came across an old fortress with security fencing and warning signs all around. I was eager to explore, but nervous of being caught in a foreign country. Jess just looked at me and said, "Let's do it," and in we went. I have the best memories of the two of us sneaking around old walls, crawling through tunnels and exploring the buildings of this beautiful place. By the end of our holiday, we had shared ice creams, had romantic dinners, and we couldn't keep our hands off each other. I was in love. But I think Jess wasn't completely sold until she saw me organise our luggage and double-check the hotel room before we left for the airport. That was Jess. She valued organisation as much as a romantic night out. We spent the next 13 years attached at the hip. We travelled around Europe in a van. We got married and we built our lives together in Australia. 8 years ago, we decided to drop everything and to travel across the Middle East, Asia and Africa. 2 years later, we came back to find our place in the world, which brought us here. We wanted to settle down, so we brought our slice of paradise up here on the hill, just a stone's throw from the beach. Then we had Ewan, and we were complete. We were happier than we'd ever been. Jess had such a zest for life. She loved Christmas. She loved fancy dinners and picnics in the park. She loved the beach and spotting dolphins and whales from the headlands. She loved flowers and she loved red autumn leaves. She loved chippy chippy chippies. Whenever I took Jess to a flash restaurant, she would still order hot chips. She loved reading. She loved a bath, and she loved it when I took her away to somewhere with a hot tub. She loved hosting dinner parties, and she put so much effort into making them perfect. She loved cats. She always had them as a girl, and somehow managed to convince me that we should get one together. On our travels, I still remember when Jess fulfilled her dream of seeing a tiger in the wild. I remember how it made her cry with joy. Jess actually loved her job. She got a thrill from helping her colleagues and seeing them succeed. Over the last week, I've heard from many of Jess's workmates who have told me how she positively influenced their careers. Jess loved to look good, and she loved it even more when I said so. Jess loved it when I made her laugh. I lived to make her laugh. Jess would get such a buzz when she managed to make me laugh and would joke that she was as funny as I was. We loved curling up on the couch to watch movies and then laying in bed to discuss what it all meant. Jess loved crafts. She did embroidery, crochet, knitting, sewing, and her house is filled with little touches of things that she's made. She loved bunting and fairy lights and all the cutesy stuff. Many of you will recognise the bunting strung up around us. Some of it Jess made for previous events at our house. And she wasn't done yet. She had taken to gardening and loved growing flowers. We wanted to travel around Australia with Ewan, and Jess dreamt one day of swimming with the whale sharks in Western Australia. Jess would always joke that she was my trailer. "Your trailer's coming," she would say as we went off on one of my harebrained weekend adventures. And so lucky for me that she did. While travelling through Europe, I planned to propose to Jess in the Black Forest. Lured by the bait of a picnic, off we went, walking through the German countryside. I wanted this to be perfect, so while Jess was wondering when we would stop for lunch, I was trying to find the perfect setting for my proposal. "We could stop here," Jess would say. "No, we can see a house, or a road, or a herd of cows." I would reply. Lucky for me, Jess followed me on, and before too long I found a pretty clearing in the forest where I'd show my cards and finally get my girl. Marrying Jess was the best thing that I ever did. Jess was so incredibly supportive. No matter what happened in our lives, I always knew that she had my back. We had put so much time into learning about each other. Jess would sometimes joke that I knew her better than she knew herself. I knew when to suggest fish and chips at the beach after work. I could pick what she would order from a restaurant. And similarly, Jess always knew if my day hadn't gone to plan and would do something small to make me feel better. Jess always referred to us as a team. I can barely spell my own name, where Jess's math skills have something to be desired. But between us, we could do almost anything. We would often reflect on the good times we'd had because we were together. We just gave each other the best 13 years of our lives. We achieved so much of what we did because of Jess's positive attitude. I was a pragmatic one. She was always so optimistic. We were both very ambitious. We wanted to do it all. But while I worked out what obstacles were in our way, Jess was thinking of how it could be done. Whether it was planning our own wedding or trying to obtain visas in Ethiopia, whenever something wasn't going well, Jess would always say, "Don't worry, everything always works out for us." And because of her, it usually did. Jess was so adventurous. During our travels, I suggested, to mix things up, we should ride motorbikes through part of Asia. Jess had never ridden before, but after a couple of days practicing on automatic scooters, we brought 2 motorbikes in Hanoi and off we went. There couldn't be a worse place to learn to ride. But Jess didn't want to miss out. So she persevered, and before long she was riding through the mountainous roads of northern Vietnam. Over the following months we rode along narrow dirt trails through torrential rain and sometimes into the night. Jess had a few falls, but every time she just got back up, recomposed herself, and we continued on. 4,000 kilometres later we arrived in Siem Reap in Cambodia. I was so proud of Jess. She had pushed herself far outside her comfort zone in a way I'd never seen anyone do before. On returning to Australia, Jess started the process of getting her motorbike licence, and we planned to get motorbikes for little weekend adventures. For a lot of her life, Jess wasn't sure she wanted to become a mum, but as soon as Ewan was born, it was like there was never any doubt. Jess was an incredible mother. She put everything into raising Ewan. She read books, every book on parenting. She cooked him only the best food, and she made toys and games for him, and read to him all the time. Jess adored Ewan, and was so proud of all the little developments he had made. And having cancer didn't slow Jess down. She still sang and danced with him. She took him swimming, and recently got a seat so she could take him cycling. Only 2 months ago, Jess rode 40 kilometres of the Northern Rivers Rail Trail with Ewan on the front of her bike. Over Ewan's first year, Jess documented everything and put together the most amazing baby book with photos, stories and mementos. Little did we know how much this book would mean to us now. It breaks my heart to know that everything Jess poured into our boy, she'll miss out on seeing all the amazing things he will achieve into the future. There isn't a word to describe how cruel this is for Jess, but also for Ewan, who will only know his mother through photos, stories, a woman who loved him so dearly, but who would just be a flicker in his mind. But we all tell Ewan how much she loved him, and how amazing she was, how she was so thoughtful and generous, how she was so fun and adventurous, how she was smart and articulate, and how she was beautiful. And I will remember how we had such a great life together, all the travels we did, all the experiences we had, and all the friends we made, and of how much I love her. But all that does is just makes losing her so much harder.
Thank you, Tim. There is no way I could put myself in your shoes. But I do know we all feel your pain, and certainly will be there for you and Ewan with open arms, hearts and homes whenever needed. But I do want to say one thing. Jess would have been so proud of your organisational skills this past week. I have been nothing but mesmerised by all you have done and your ideas and how this has all come to fruition, and it has been amazing. So thank you for being the easiest person to work with and the most organised. Jess's dear mum, Jan, has made several trips across the ditch recently to be with Jess, as Tim alluded to. She's written some words for me to share with you now. Jess was the perfect daughter from childhood to adulthood, loving everything and everybody. An advocate for the less abled, she made sure if she was your friend, you knew it. She had many talents that surprised both myself and her dad. At 8, she was given the lead role in the school play, The Frog Prince. She was brilliant. Her height may have been a contributing factor at the start. After the first night's performance, her headmaster whispered in my ear, "What do they say? Don't put your daughter on the stage, eh?" She was used to being on her own, cat in tow, but she loved her older brothers, Darren and Paul. They were there to provide a big brother mentor when required. At intermediate school, Jessica was asked by the principal if she would take under her wing a girl from Nelson who was relocating to a foster home in Christchurch to remove her from some undesirable influences. She asked Jess to keep the girl's background confidential from other students and to just be her friend. This girl came to our house a few times to do homework with Jess. On one occasion, I heard my daughter say to her, "Anyone can be naughty, that's a no-brainer, but being smart is cool." Near the end of that year, I was asked to attend a meeting with the school principal. Jessica was present. She said she read out a letter she had received from the head of the Nelson School. She said the transformation of this girl who had returned to Nelson was incredible. Academically, she was almost at the top of her class. Socially, she had joined a sports team and she had also started a craft club. She then said to Jess, "If you never do anything else with your life, I want you to know you have saved the life of this young girl." Jessica was 11 years old. When she left New Zealand to travel to London, she informed me she was applying for an HR position in a large British company. After a few days, I asked her how she got on. "I didn't get it," she said. "I thought I was a strong contender. I'm going to ring them after the weekend to see what the problem was." So she rang them and she was told she was their number one choice. But her superior said he couldn't get his head around the Kiwi lingo. What was that? Jess wanted to know. "Sweet as," he said. She never said that again during an interview. She settled for a few years in London, working in management for BP, British Petroleum. In Ewan, I see the same knowing behind those beautiful blue eyes. He is so like his mummy and will always be her beautiful boy. In the future, I want to be able to sit with him and tell him about his mummy who loved him so much. Thank you, Jan. Would you like to put a flower up now, or will you do it later?
I'll do it.
Would you? Okay. Thank you so much. Tim's parents, Nona and Andrew, have been in residence here for the past few months, and they're now going to share some of their special memories of Jess with you.
During a parade of graduating students and their families, a tall young lady rushed onto George Street, Dunedin, and embraced our son Tim, congratulating him on his achievement. My immediate thought was that this was a very over-the-top display of congratulations. Maybe there was more going on than we knew about. Both of their lives went in separate directions, and it was some years before they became a couple. While in London with Tim, we took on the task of deciding on the style and purchasing of an engagement ring for Jess. We visited the high-end jewellery area of London, where we learned all about diamond colours, shapes, sizes, and of course price. In the end, we both agreed that for Jess, it was better to go for the biggest rather than the best diamond. Soon after this, I returned home where I had to keep the secret of the pending engagement. After completing the Great Himalayan Trail across Nepal, I was back in our hotel in Kathmandu. Jess arrived, having been at a wildlife reserve, and we greeted in the lobby. She immediately gave me a big hug and then quickly took a step back and said, "Creepy." I was a little taken back at first, but then remembered I was weighing at only 60 kilograms. Nona and I have been fortunate to have been on many overseas trips with Jess and Tim, often crammed into a tradie van or places with extreme conditions and poverty. But Jess was always welcoming to us to share these experiences. And along came Ewan, Jess's wee man, as she often called him. From the time of his birth, Jess conveyed to us grandparents that she wanted us to be very active in Ewan's life. Little did we know at that time how active that would become, given what has happened. From being involved in Mum's group events, swimming lessons, active play, playground and beach activities, feeding, nappy changing, bathing, reading, we have done it all. Thank you, Jess, for the trust you showed that allowed us to be the grandparents we want to be. Jess's life was cut short in a very cruel way, but I take great comfort in the belief she had a very good life, and that is the most any of us can ever wish for. To Jess I say, your life was full of purpose, but still incomplete. You had so much more to give, and so much more to enjoy. When you said you were sorry, I did not know what you meant. For it is those of us who are left that are sorry you have gone.
We first noticed Jess when we Skyped him in the UK. There was this young woman often hovering in the background. Tim was quite shy when questioned, but confirmed they were an item. He phoned Jan, Jess's mum, to ask permission to marry her daughter. He then phoned us with the news. He didn't see the point in a long engagement, as she was the one. Jan phoned me shortly after, worried that Jess was rushing things. I told her, "You have absolutely nothing to worry about," and we gladly welcomed another Jess into the family. Family was very important to Jess, and when Ewan was born, Andrew and I decided to hold off visiting them until he became more than a crying, sleeping, feeding blob. But they were such proud parents and they couldn't wait to show him off, so one visit quickly became another. To them, our involvement in his life was essential. I liked the fact that we could have fun being silly with him, that the letter S wasn't just for sun, but for snot, and that farts were something to laugh about. Jess was a dedicated mum. She didn't leave anything to chance and must have read every book on pregnancy and child development, cover to cover, so they could be the best parents to Ewan. Jess loved celebrations, especially Christmas and Easter, and never forgot anybody's birthday. She loved crafts and became an excellent sewer with her dad's sewing machine, making bean bags, PJs, makeup, and she made a beautiful apron for me. Jess had a lovely smile, and she always appreciated everything you did for her, however small. We would often go to nurseries. Tim liked natives, and Jess loved her English flowering plants and bulbs, but not if they were purple or orange. When they got the bad news, I flew in the next day. Andrew and I would do anything to help our children, and they needed us. One day, Tim had spent most of the day in ICU, and while driving home that night, Jess rang me to say that Tim was a bit frazzled and keep an eye on him, always thinking of her boys. She undertook every treatment and procedure without complaint. She was so brave, and she never gave up hope. We are so proud that she was part of our family, that she loved our son, and she made him happy, which is all any parent wants. We will miss her.
Thank you both. We are now going to hear CJ play his cittern as we have some reflection time to perhaps think on what has already been shared and to enjoy the peace and the view that Jess so loved. So thank you, CJ.
Hi everyone. I was very honoured when Tim asked me to play here, and I was thinking about considering Jess's nature and just how she was so kind and bright and upbeat and smart and funny. And this was immediately the song that came to mind that I wanted to play for her. So yeah, please enjoy this one is for Jess.
Thank you, CJ. Tim spoke about Jess's time in London. I would now like to invite 4 special London time friends, Natasha, Nicole, Jules and Kirsten, to come forward and share some of their memories, please.
Oh, I've got some stage fright. Okay. We are infamously known in various circles and probably on some wanted posters across London as the Fab Five. Collectively, we have known Jess for over 50 years. It is almost impossible to sum up someone like Jess in just a few words. As we know, Jess was smart, witty, and wonderfully quick. She had this incredible way of lighting up a room, usually with laughter and sometimes with a perfectly timed one-liner that had everyone in stitches. Jess had a huge heart. Hold on. She was a friend you could count on to show up, to listen to cheer you on, or just sit beside you when things were tough. She gave so freely of her time, her love, her support, always thinking of others before herself. Her absence leaves a hole that can't be filled, but her impact on our lives, on our hearts, will never fade. We will miss her laugh, her warmth, her fierce loyalty, and the way she made each of us feel seen and loved. You go.
We promise to keep her memory alive for Ewan by sharing the stories and the moments that made her so special. He will grow up surrounded by the love she poured into all of us, and through our words, he'll come to know just how extraordinary his mum was. We'll keep thinking of you, smiling at the memories, and laughing at all the hilarious, unforgettable moments you gave us, like our trip to Portsmouth, where your insistence that there is never such thing as too much butter. Your hen's party in Mexico, where we discovered that you could sleep talk in fluent Spanish. Your short-lived promotion to the head of attraction at BP, and your not-so-subtle secret code for winking.
Your creative, insightful and cheeky leaving gifts, and the Tuesday night one for the road that lasted till 4 a.m.
Jess would absolutely want us to laugh, preferably loud, possibly, definitely inappropriately, and definitely with a glass of wine in hand. Jess, we love you. Thank you for being our friend. And we'll always have the Fab Five.
Thank you, girls. Do we hear about the escapades a little later? You just sort of touched on them, and we were all waiting, but nothing happened. Oh, I think it's a Fab Five rule that what happens stays with you. Yes. I have some messages from some of Jess's other friends that I would now like to share. The first one is from Helen, and I think Helen is here today. So I'm privileged to be sharing this one. Hi everyone. It's hard to find the words to capture a person like Jess. Someone so full of life, creativity and laughter. But I want to share a few memories that I hold especially close to my heart. To me, Jess was more than a friend. She was family, a sister from another mister. Jess has always been woven into the story of my life, and I feel so lucky to have grown up alongside her. My very first memory of Jess is in the driveway at 60 Victors Road. I was with my mum, Anne, and we were returning her little dog Muffin, who had escaped. Peeping out from behind Jan was a wide-eyed 3-year-old Jess. Our mums worked together at Rhodes on Cashmere, and from there a lifelong friendship began. Our childhood was a wild mix of imagination and chaos. Dress-ups, ice skating, false nails, Barbie dolls in hedges, and epic tree huts. We'd get up early to make hot Milos and cornflakes with way too much sugar, then climb the ladder onto the cabbage tree for breakfast. That was our little world. We also spent hours on the computer, completely absorbed in games like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Trying to track her across the globe, clicking around the map, getting ridiculously excited when we cracked a case. It felt like the biggest adventure, and we always thought we were this close to becoming real detectives. Jess and I were cat fanatics, and we didn't want her cat Jimmy to miss out on the tree hut fun. So naturally we put him in a big bucket and hoisted him up into the garage tree hut with a rope. It was a full operation. We made huts everywhere, in the attic, behind the washing machine. We even mixed washing powder and water into a kind of a slurry and painted it onto the wooden walls, sticking stickers on top like we were redecorating. Who knows what we thought we were? Plasterers? Artists? Either way, we had so much fun. We spent countless hours rollerblading, biking, going to the beach and gardens and Halswell Pool. I remember us exploring the rock pools in summer and spending weekends fishing, though I use the term fishing lightly. Jess and I would usually end up pretending we were on a cooking show, cutting up the bait into a mush and it couldn't actually be used. I don't think we were very helpful. At the end of the day, bonfires would be lit and we'd all keep a close eye on my brother Michael, the little pyro, who always got too close to the flames. And I'll never forget the nickname Jess's dad, John, gave her. Billy Joe Jess Bob. My dad Grant thought it was brilliant and kept calling that long after her first solo trip to America. Definitely better than the nickname I got, Hairy Melon. Thanks, Dad. And yes, John had a whole song to go with that one too. Even after my family moved to Halswell, Jess and I stayed in contact. She studied at Otago University, graduated and later travelled to the UK to explore, work and complete her masters. Jess and Tim became engaged and were married in Christchurch before setting off on 2 years of incredible travel adventures around the world. Eventually they settled in Coffs Harbour, a little piece of paradise, and it was there that they welcomed their beautiful Ewan into their lives. Jess was a devoted mum. Tim and Ewan were her whole world. Jess, thank you. Thank you for being a sister to me, for the joy you brought to my brother Mike, my sister Jenny, and for being a loving auntie to Harry and Emily. We miss you so much. You left us far too soon, but the memories, the laughter and the love will always stay with us. Sending all my love and heartfelt condolences to Tim and Ewan, as well as to Jess's extended family and friends. My heart is with you all during this incredibly difficult time. With all my heart, love always, Helen. Thank you, Helen. We now have a poem from Josie, which I would like to share with you. I didn't realise it was going to be this hard to shuffle these papers, but sorry about that. We gather now with heavy hearts to honour Jess, who played a part in all our lives, a treasured friend, a loving wife, daughter and mum to the end. We remember her in campfire glow, at O'Keens Bay where warm winds blow, delicious meals and swimming in the lagoon, frolicking in waves, smoking weed in sand dunes. Fond memories at Victor's Road, sleepovers and good times bestowed, teenage dreams and clothes so groovy, trying to levitate after watching the Craft movie. Kind and humble, fiercely fun, a joke and a hug for everyone. A life so full she travelled the world, and she never made fun of my power fringe so curled. So rest, dear friend, your spirit flies beyond the clouds to Matariki's eyes. We'll hold you close, we'll speak your name, and in our love you'll live again. Thank you, Jess, that was beautiful. I now have Katie's words from Katie. I had the privilege of first meeting Jess when we were both working at Mitre 10's paint department in Dunedin, when a 4-litre bucket of paint went flying out of the paint shaker, coating anything within a 3-metre radius. Jess responded first by throwing her head back in laughter, and secondly by rolling up her sleeves and helping with the mess. I knew at that moment we would always be friends. And Jess was my friend for almost 20 years. She was also my oldest friend. Over that time, we shared in each other's successes, disappointments, and most importantly, we shared in each other's growth. We watched each other grow into women and carve out our lives. Even though our lives developed very differently and in different parts of the world, we shared from afar. We were always able to pick up our friendship from exactly where we left it. Jess was a loyal friend, a person I could depend on to give me both her honesty and her support, no matter how hard the situation. Jess was always strong enough to speak the truth, but to also speak the truth from a place of kindness. I always admired how Jess would approach life with a dogged determination and ambition. She always had goals and always knew the direction she wanted to take. Jess lived life to its fullest and accomplished so much. She was a devoted wife and mother, a supportive friend, and the most well-travelled explorer I know. She encouraged me to live life with purpose and positivity, just as she lived hers. Jess, I will carry your memory with me in the years ahead. In the times of struggle, I will remember your strength. In the times when I'm afraid, I will remember your courage. In times when I'm not sure of whether I should send that questionable email to my boss, I will remember what HR Jess would say. And in the times when I'm not sure if I should just take the plunge, I will remember your adventurous spirit and just do it. Love you always, my friend, Katie. I now have a speech from Annalise. sum up a person in a few paragraphs? I have written and rewritten this a number of times, and each time it feels like I can't even scratch the surface. I first met Jess in 2020. She had just moved to the area, and Tim was working over in Western Australia, stuck there for the time being due to COVID border closures. Jess and I were taking the same surf lesson. After, she asked if I needed a new friend to surf with sometimes, and being quite new to the area as well, I said yes. We ended up catching up for some fish and chips at the beach one day, and my partner, who is also named Tim, came too. It wasn't until later that I found out that Jess had been talking to her Tim on the way to our meetup, and she said that she might make some new friends if we weren't weirdos. She told me she called him on the way home from fish and chips and said, "I made us some new friends." So we must have passed the not weirdo test. From that time on, we saw each other quite regularly, which only increased once my Tim bought our first home just a few streets away in Sandy Beach. Jess and Tim and later Ewan became our family up here. We celebrated birthdays, Christmases, Easters, New Years and new babies together. We made meals for each other when the other family was having a rough time. Last year, after Jess had been diagnosed with her initial breast cancer, I was pregnant with my second child, and we received some difficult news. We were required to travel back and forth to Newcastle for medical care, and throughout this time we made meals and treats for each other whenever either of us could manage it. One day we had driven home from Newcastle, feeling exhausted and depleted, and our beautiful Jess, who had sat in the chemo chair that day, popped by at 8 p.m. to give us some brownies that she had just taken out of the oven. I told her that was too much effort, particularly given that it was chemo treatment day for her. She simply replied, "Oh, I'll feel worse tomorrow, and I feel like you guys needed a little treat. Don't worry, it's only a packet mix," so I cheated anyway. She was right. We did need a little treat that night, but she was wrong about the cheating. Even packet mix brownies are an exemplary effort when you're fighting a battle against cancer. The effort that Jess put into everything was extreme. She's the only pregnant woman I've ever known to single-handedly repaint the entire interior of her home. Most of us just sit around feeling like whales. She loved hosting, and each event, whether it was Christmas, birthdays or murder mystery parties, she was so thoroughly thought out and decorated. We made jokes that she needed to delete Pinterest, but I'm glad that she put in that effort. She taught me that life is worth celebrating because life is an achievement. Jess championed the people who made up her world, celebrating her wins and commiserating our losses. To say that Jess lived a beautiful life doesn't really do her justice. The truth of it is that Jess created a beautiful life. You can see it in her home, her family, her garden. It's in her friendships and her neighbours. It's in the community that she and Tim created. It's in Ewan. There is so much more I want to say, but I don't know how to put it into a succinct story. I guess to sum it up, making friends as an adult can be hard, but not when you make friends with Jess. Thank you, Jess, for the light you continue to shine on our lives. I hope that you've got unlimited free gluten pancakes to eat while you watch over us. After Jess became a mum, she was very keen to join with the like-minded mums with like-minded mums, so she joined a local mums group, and I'm told she absolutely loved it. We're now going to hear from Kira, Amy, Bree, Moogie and Crystal, members of the group. Thank you, girls.
It's been so hard to find the words that even come close to describing the force and the sparkle that is our Jess. It feels surreal that we are here today in a position where we need to hold on to memories of Jess rather than simply basking in her presence. Since those first few days of meeting Jess and Ewan through the Whoopies Mums and Bubs group, where we would all get into trouble for talking too much and leading our own support sessions on their time, Jess has always been an undeniable, hilarious spark of our group. With her quick wit jokes, she is the one who always has the perfect one-liner at exactly the right moment, that crude, sometimes inappropriate humour, always accompanied by big laughs from her and anyone within earshot. She told us so many times that it was Tim who was always regarded as the funny one in their friendship circles. But I'm sorry, Tim. In our eyes and hearts, Jess will always be the hilarious firecracker of this group. Aside from being generous with her jokes, she was unwavering in sharing her precious time, community spirit, and collaborative mindset. Jess often commented that giving back to those around her seemed to bring her energy and fill her cup rather than use it up. Even as you were battling the unthinkable big battles and your energy was precious, you were still always the first to offer help, but the last to ask for it. Even in the midst of treatment and recoveries, we so often would have to come home to find freshly cut flowers, freshly picked fruit and veg, or handmade cards waiting on the doorstep that Jess and Ewan had delivered. Even in your darkest moments, you somehow shared what light you had. You thought of everything, gave everything, and even on the hardest days, somehow you still found a way to create joy and to bring laughter and to craft. Our creative project queen, you once said that you wondered if you were inflicting permanent psychological damage by forcing Ewan to be crafty. With you, even when he was not often in the mood. Well, it now feels so conflicting that your crafty nature has left us with so many bittersweet reminders, connections, and keepsakes of you. From the best ever newborn hands and footprints of Ewan's nugget collection, flower arranging, Christmas salt dough ornaments, personalised baby birthday magazine covers, double-sided tape cotton ball eared bunny babies, the plans for the cubby house renovations, Valentine's Day bee hands, and of course the completed baby Ewan book, and all of this bunting clearly as well. It seems that you never had much spare time, just more opportunities to start, continue, modify, or finalise some creative ventures or Pinterest projects that you had embarked upon. Thank you for taking so much time to make sure we had so many little crafty keepsakes for you. But more than this, more than your sense of humour, your community spirit, or your creative flair, more than anything, Jess, you are our mum friend. We got to share this transformation of early motherhood alongside you, growing into parents, finding our mum stride or lack thereof, and all the struggles and celebrations and frustrations, triumphs that come along with this crazy adventure. You never judged, you never pretended it was easy, you were real, honest, practical, determined. You always had the right mix of empathy, and you've got this prep talk to keep us moving forward. We're going to be forever grateful that we got to walk a bit of this journey together with you, Jess, to get inspired by your incredible energy and bask in your zest and humour and dedication. Also utterly focused on giving your best self to that little human. And delivering him the most incredible start to life. We will always see your sparkle as we watch your smiley, happy, twinkle-toed wee man growing up in your memory.
And although for now we keep feeling that surreal heartbreak as we wait for your quirky replies or exaggerated, excited suggestions in our groups or play dates, over time we hope that we'll keep being able to find that Jess sparkle in the days, months, and years ahead as we learn to live with your memories. Whenever we manage to appropriately assign the perfect meme or emoji to a situation, we'll know that there's a bit of Jess shining through us. Whenever we somehow wrangle our small humans into completing a craft project, even though their patience has long expired, we'll know that there's a bit of Jess sparkling in us. Whenever we magically collect a home harvest before the birds or the bugs, or perfectly arrange some blooms in a bouquet, we'll know that there's some Jess shining through us. And of course, if any of us ever actually manage to finish our baby books or even think about keeping them up to date, we'll know that there's a lot of Jess shining through us. People as radiant as Jess don't just pop up spontaneously. They're nurtured. So to your beautiful little fam, your Tim and your Ewan, the rest of your family and your community, thank you for helping to cultivate such an incredible woman in Jess. Thank you for sharing her with us even in such a short time that she was here. She's been taken too young, too soon, and too cruelly. And yet, Jess, you've still given us so many laughs, so many crafts, so many avocados, so much reassurance, so much of your heart and your honesty, so much inspiration, and so many memories in such a short time. Your glow will always be in Ewan, and we will always help him to know about his sensational mum and how much you adored him. You've left all of us brighter in so many ways by letting us be close to you. We'll always remember you, Jess.
Thank you, girls. Amazing words, and what a woman. CJ, I think it's time now for you to have another little reflection time, if you don't mind, please.
Just going to sing a couple of gentle songs. One is a devotional song to the beautiful ocean that we're so close to here, and the other one to the beautiful Mother Earth.
if I love you, will your wave hold me down? Daughter of the beautiful ocean, water so seductively cruel, you have gone like a siren, a spiral, a storm, and I died like a fool. Wash me, wet me, tangle me in the foam, wound me, heal me, strip me back to the bone. Wash me, wet me, tangle me in the foam, wound me, heal me, strip me back to the bone. Wash me, wet me, tangle me in the foam, wound me, heal me, strip me back to the bone. Wash me, wet me, tangle me in the foam, wound me, heal me, strip me back to the bone. Back to the bone. Back to the bone, to the bone, to the bone. She moves like an angel moves when I whisper her name. She shines like a saintly one, walks like a sun, an angel walks. She shines like a saintly love, bears all the sweetness and knows all of love. Her eyes tell 1,000 tales, sadness, grace, and fear and hope. I can hear her singing now, my tears fall like rain. But to most she's a silent one. Oh, can you hear her songs of pain? as old as the heavens, and as new as the skies. The eternal mother, she never lies. She never lies. She's a flower-scented whisper, a saintly mother's hope. The expanse of the flowered fields, a certain beauty that's always spoke. Whispering echoes of times have passed, the seasons shift, the tides of song. Whispering echoes of times gone by, a veil of dreams and boundless skies. I can hear her singing now, my tears fall like rain. But to most she's a silent one. Oh, can you hear her songs of pain? She's as old as the heavens, and as new as the skies. The eternal mother, she never lies. She never lies. I can hear her singing now, my tears fall like rain. But to most she's a silent one. Oh, can you hear her songs of pain? She's as old as the heavens, and as new as the skies. The eternal mother, she never lies. She never lies. She never lies. She never lies.
Thank you, CJ. Just perfect. We've spent a last little while sharing some wonderful memories of Jess and her very busy and wonderful life. We've had some amazing speakers and we've had certainly some wonderful memories. I'm wondering if there was anyone else who wanted to say or share something with us now. That is fine. I can understand the speakers today have been just phenomenal. It's now going to be time very, very soon to share these memories together over a drink and some food. But first we have one little more surprise. And I'm going to ask Sarah to come forward and tell us about something very special now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah. I just live at the end of the road. You'll be passing our
yellow minion letterbox, just for context. I was looking after Ewan the day that they got the terminal diagnosis. So I was the first person that they practiced telling, which was obviously terrible, but also somehow beautifully tender, and a moment that will stay with me because just the grace and dignity with which I could see that incredible news sort of sinking in, and it was just such a poignant moment to witness, and I think it's reflective of Jess's attitude in general, just so courageous and incredible in the way she faced this ultimate transition. In that moment, I could see that the thing that was upsetting both Tim and Jess the most was the idea that Ewan might not be old enough to remember Jess. And of course, she was taken so quickly that will be the case, that he won't have those conscious memories. And so that really sat so heavily with me afterwards. But then the thing that came to me and that made me feel a lot better is that even if he doesn't have those conscious memories, he will absolutely feel that imprint of Jess as this source of incredible love and adoration of him, and he'll have that felt sense of her. And so that made me feel a lot better. And so that's the inspiration for this next. We're going to have a crafting activity, and I thank Annalise and Tegan for actually. You actually sparked this, Tegan, by talking about how much Jess loved crafts, and so we've got this this crafting activity, which is also inspired by this little book called Feathers, which will be over there. You can have a look. Which was written by a mother that has cancer. She's still alive. She's fighting her cancer, but she wrote this for her children for if she does pass, and to bring comfort to others in this situation. So it's about a little boy who's lost his mum, and if he puts a feather under his pillow, he dreams of her and feels close to her. And so it felt really appropriate. So we're going to craft some feathers. You don't have to make a whole one. You can just tie a knot or two. And the idea is that you tie in your love and your memories of Jess. And then we'll create them all together into a wall hanging for Ewan, so that it can help him remember Jess. And of course, as others have said, her friends and her family, her community, we're here to help hold those conscious memories and share them back with Ewan when he's old enough to remember them. So I think that's all I wanted to say.
You.
So
we'll
be over at the table.
Sarah's going to be up the back at the table. And we just during the afternoon, whenever you feel, when there's a vacant spot, we would love you to go there and to do that. Thank you, Sarah. Your words were beautiful. Jess was loved by so many, and although there is grief as we say goodbye, there is even more gratitude for her life and for our part in it. Let us carry her with us in our hearts and minds as we go on in our lives. Everything she has done is still done. Everyone she loved still feels her love. Everything we learnt from her will certainly stay with us. And as we move forward, let's find strength in our shared memories and in the love that binds us together. Let us support one another, cherish the moments we have, and live our lives in a way that would make Jess proud. In this way, we honour her legacy and ensure that her light continues to shine. I would like to leave you with a quote that I believe captures the essence of Jess's life and the message she would want us to carry forward. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Let us feel Jess's love in our hearts. Let us see her spirit in our actions, and let us honour her memory by living lives filled with love, kindness and compassion. Let's close Jess's special celebration of life ceremony the way it began. So I'm now going to ask our special piper Jeff if he would conclude today's little service, remembering that the food is up there and the craft is over there. Thank you.
I won't stop you. Go on. Go annoy my neighbours.
moved over to Australia.
Yeah.
So she came over and came to school with me when I was in year 12 for a week, and the teachers were like, who is this Kiwi student who's not on the roll?
She just turned up.
She just turned up, and I came back and we went camping. And how much tail are we meant to leave?
Enough that you can tie a knot.
Sweet like that?
Yeah, yeah.
There for now. Yeah, that's probably. You don't want to go any further. Yeah, okay. You need to be able to cut it. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Great. Okay. So I went for a run around the headland this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so just lane. Where are you from? Next door. Oh, lovely.
There we go.
In the order that you want. It's such a beautiful area here. You have like a stripe of blue. Those are all a bit different. So you've got about that much left at the bottom, and then you've got and then you